Hi, welcome to Placement Seasons. So today we will be discussing about the concept of verbal analogy. Analogy means similar relationship. With a given set of words, you have to find the relationship between them and answer the next set of words. So here in analogy, you have two different things. One is a verbal analogy, another one is a numerical analogy. So the verbal analogy is with words and the numerical analogy is with some sort of numbers. Today we'll be discussing about verbal analogy. So in verbal analogy, let's go to the first example displayed here. That is pages to books and petals to what? So here from the first term it is we get pages and books. So it is clear that many pages together make a book and petals together make what? So we know petals together make a flower. So the answer is a flower. Okay. And then the second, this is for numerical. In this session, we'll not be seeing numerical, but let me just give an example. So it is 16 to 4 and 81 to what? The first term is the square of the second term, which is 4 squared gives you 16. Nothing but 4 into 4 gives you 16. Similarly, what gives you 81? So we know it is 9 and the answer is 9 here. Now let's see a few examples on analogy, that's verbal analogy. In the first example, I have butcher to knife and hairdresser to what? So a butcher is a person who makes meat and he uses a knife to make meat, that is to cut meat. Similarly, the relationship with the second one is hairdresser and what? Taking the first one, we understand that it is the worker and the instrument he uses. What does a hairdresser use? Coming to the options, it is similar. That is, hairdresser goes with scissors, hairdresser goes with hair and curls and blonde. The relationship in the first one is worker and the instrument used. Comparing this relationship for a hairdresser's instrument is a scissor. So the answer will be scissors. Okay, so it is butcher to knife and hairdresser to scissors. And the first relationship we learned here is worker and the instrument. Second one, hip to ankle and shoulder to what? So hip to ankle makes your lower part of the body. That is, it's the start. The hip is the start of your leg and ankle is the end of your leg. The relationship here, when you take the joints, it is the leg joint. It starts from hip and ends in ankle. Okay, you can also say it as a start and end, or you can also take the first and the third are joined here. Comparing this with the second term, we have shoulder to what? So shoulder has a knee, that is your hand has a knee, your hand has bones, your hand has wrist, and it is all joined together with joints. So all the four options goes. But comparing the relationship, what is the relationship here in the first term? It is 1 to 3. Taking your hand, shoulders is the start of your hand, and then comes your knee, and then your wrist. Comparing 1 and 3, the answer is wrist. It is hip to ankle and shoulder to wrist. Clear? So this is something like, you can also call it as a set. Next one. All to many and few to what? Here, the first term, or you can go like this. The second term is a smaller part of the first term. So all means you can even say a lot of things, but many is something lesser than a lot. So it is like the second word is the smaller part of the first word. Coming to the example here, coming to the relationship here in the second word, few to what? So the lesser part of few itself means less. So the lesser part of less is none. So the answer here is none. Okay. So if you are very good with English, or if you know how to use words correctly, and if you know their meanings correctly, then verbal analogy is very easy to attempt. Okay, now let's see the next example. It is warm to hot and old to what. So when you start heating something, the initial process is warm and the extent is hot. Okay, so this is nothing but the initial point and the extent point. That is the relationship in this example. So it is warm to hot and old to what. Let's see the options now. It is oldest, history, years, and antique. So you can't call it as oldest because it has little bit like if it is we say that's an old thing, which means 5 years old, something like that. Coming to history, no. Years is also no. Then the answer should be antique. Antique means very old, very ancient, like we call it. It's something like that. Okay. So warm to hot and old to antique. Next, it is poetry to prose, conversation to what? Sorry, what to conversation. Take the first two words. It's poetry and prose. So a poetry is something which has a rhyming sense, whereas a prose is something that gives you a meaning, and it need not be rhythm rhyming. It is a non-rhyming one. So taking the first set of word, we see that the first one is a rhyming and the second one is a non-rhyming. Similarly, conversation is also something which need not be rhyming. So here we have to match a word that should be rhyming. In that case, song, listening, poem, languages. Okay. So the option the from all these four, we see that song goes with it because song is something that to be rhythmatic. Sorry, rhyming. Clear? Okay. We'll have a briefer section on this in the next video. This is just for the concept. So verbal analogy is something very easier to attempt and to answer if you are very good in English and if you know how to use words, or if you know the meaning of the words you use and the terminologies referred to each word. For example, where you will have it in the next session when we use when we say thermometer to temperature and speedometer to watt. So like all these are words which you use in your day-to-day life. A thermometer measures temperature and a speedometer measures the speed. That's all. So the answer would be speed here. So if you're very good in English, then this part is very easy. Anyways, thank you. Thanks for watching.